Have you ever noticed how stress creeps into your life without permission? Maybe it shows up as a tightness in your chest, a racing mind at 2 a.m., or that constant knot in your stomach when you're simply trying to get through the day. It almost feels like stress is this invisible weight we're all forced to carry, and no matter how hard you try, it refuses to let go. But here's something surprising. What if I told you that the very thing stress takes away from you, your breath, is also the key to setting yourself free? In Buddhist teachings, the breath is far more than just oxygen entering your lungs. It's a doorway, a bridge that connects your body and your mind. A living reminder that even in the middle of chaos, there is always something steady, something constant, something you can return to. Think about it. Stress pulls you into the past with regrets, or pushes you into the future with worries. But the breath, it lives only in the present. And when you learn to return to it, moment by moment, you suddenly realize you're not as trapped as you thought you were. Now, here's the beauty of it. Buddhist monks have spent centuries exploring the art of breathing. Not as a complicated ritual, not as something mystical, but as a practical tool anyone can use, yes, including you. Imagine having techniques so simple that you can use them while sitting in traffic, standing in line at the grocery store, or lying awake at night. And yet, so powerful that they can melt away years of tension stored in your body. In today's video, we're going to explore those very techniques, straight from Buddhist wisdom, designed to help you let go of stress and return to a lighter, calmer, more peaceful version of yourself. And don't worry, you don't need to be a monk, or sit on a mountaintop, or meditate for hours. All you need is a few minutes, an open heart, and of course, your breath. But before we dive in, let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you truly paid attention to your breathing? Not the shallow, rushed kind that comes with daily stress, but deep, intentional breathing that feels like a gift to your entire body? For most of us, the answer is, I can't remember. And that's exactly why this practice can be so life-changing. Because here's the paradox. Stress convinces us that the solution has to be big, complicated, or outside of ourselves. Yet Buddhist monks remind us that the answer is already within us, quietly flowing in and out every single moment. And that leads us to a question worth holding on to. If the breath is always with us, why do we so often ignore it? Stay with me, because in just a moment I'm going to share with you 3 Buddhist breathing techniques that can shift the way you experience stress starting today. These are practices you can do anywhere, anytime, no matter what your life looks like right now. And by the way, as a small thank you for walking this path of mindfulness and healing with me, I've prepared a special free gift for you. It's waiting in the description below this video. Think of it as a gentle companion to guide you beyond what we'll explore today. So take a deep breath with me right now. Inhale slowly, feel the air filling your lungs, and then exhale gently. Notice how, even in this one breath, there's already a hint of relief. That's the doorway we're about to walk through together. Are you ready to discover how Buddhist breathing can help you finally let go of stress? Then let's begin. Part 1. The power of mindful breathing. Have you ever noticed, when you're under stress, your breath almost disappears? Think about it. The shoulders tighten, the chest feels heavy, and suddenly the breath becomes short, shallow, almost as if life itself is being held hostage. I remember a woman named Claire. She was in her mid-42nd, working long hours, juggling her family, and every day felt like a race she could never finish. One evening she told me, "I feel like my mind is screaming and my body is shutting down. Even when I try to rest, I can't escape it." Maybe you've felt the same way. That silent exhaustion that no one else sees, but you carry it everywhere. And yet, there's something so simple, so ordinary, that it often goes unnoticed: your breath. In Buddhism, the breath is not just a biological function. It's not simply oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. It is the bridge, the sacred bridge, between the body and the mind. When the mind is scattered, when thoughts are racing like wild horses, the breath becomes our way home. The Buddha once taught that just as a mother gently cradles her child, so we can cradle the wandering mind with the breath. Let that image sink in. Each inhale, each exhale is like holding yourself with compassion. Think about this. When you pause, place your hand on your chest and take one deep breath. Something shifts, doesn't it? Your thoughts slow down, your heartbeat softens, and suddenly you're not trapped in the storm anymore. You're standing at its center, calm, grounded, unshaken. Claire experienced this for the first time when she was taught a simple mindful breathing exercise. She sat down, closed her eyes, and the teacher simply said, "Breathe in, know you are breathing in. Breathe out, know you are breathing out." At first she laughed. That's it? Just breathing? But within 5 minutes, something beautiful happened. She started crying, not because she was sad, but because she realized she had been holding her breath, holding her pain for years. And in that moment, she let go. That's the power of mindful breathing. It may sound simple, but it's not trivial. It's the essence of returning to the present moment. Because when you truly breathe with awareness, stress loses its grip. The body relaxes, the mind unclenches, and you remember, you are alive, right here, right now. Let me ask you, how often do you go through a whole day without even noticing a single breath? Most of us live like that. We drive, we work, we scroll on our phones, all while the breath keeps us alive, quietly, faithfully. And yet, when stress builds up, the very thing that could free us is ignored. Here's the paradox. The breath is always with you, but only when you pay attention does it become medicine. And this medicine has no side effects, no cost, no prescription, just awareness. The Buddha compared the mindful breath to an anchor. Imagine being in a small boat tossed by violent waves. Fear, anger, regret, endless to-do lists. Without an anchor, the boat is dragged wherever the storm takes it. But the moment you drop anchor, the boat steadies. The waves don't disappear, but you're no longer a victim of them. That's what mindful breathing does. Stress doesn't vanish overnight, but it loses its power to control you. When I personally began practicing Buddhist breathing, I noticed something strange. Problems didn't suddenly go away. The bills were still there, responsibilities remained, but my relationship to them changed. It was like carrying the same weight, but with stronger arms. The load didn't crush me anymore. And I wonder, what if, right now, you gave yourself permission to stop running for just one breath? What would happen if you allowed yourself to feel the rise and fall of your chest, to notice the miracle that you are alive in this exact second? It's in that single mindful breath that stress begins to loosen. So, the first step on this journey of Buddhist breathing techniques is simple. Recognize the breath as your bridge. Whenever the mind is scattered, whenever you feel trapped in pressure, come back to this truth. Breathing in, I return to myself. Breathing out, I release the weight I no longer need to carry. And here's the beauty: you don't need incense, a cushion, or a temple. You can do this in the middle of a meeting, in your car, before going home, even while washing dishes. The practice isn't about escaping life. It's about breathing into life. Claire learned this. She didn't quit her job. She didn't escape her responsibilities, but she discovered a secret. She realized that every time she paused and breathed mindfully, she wasn't a prisoner of stress anymore. She was free. And you can discover that too. Because the truth is, stress will always come knocking. Life will always bring challenges. But the breath is your constant companion, waiting quietly, ready to bring you back home whenever you remember it. So, as we move deeper into this video, I'll share with you specific Buddhist breathing techniques, simple, practical, and deeply transformative, that can help you not just manage stress, but truly let it go. And trust me, by the end, you'll see that what you've been searching for has been right under your nose the whole time. Part 2. Counting breath to calm the mind. You know, one of the simplest yet most powerful Buddhist techniques to quiet the mind is something called counting the breath. It sounds so basic, but don't let its simplicity fool you. It has been practiced by monks for centuries, and it has the power to bring even the most restless mind back into balance. Let me tell you a little story. A woman named Clara once came to a meditation class I was guiding. She was in her late 50s, juggling work stress, caring for her aging mother, and dealing with her own health worries. She told me, "My mind never stops. Even when I'm lying in bed, I feel like I'm running a marathon inside my head." Does that sound familiar to you? Maybe at night when you're supposed to rest, your thoughts race about work, family, bills, or simply the weight of life itself. When Clara first tried meditation, she said it was impossible. "I can't sit still." She laughed nervously. "My brain is like a wild monkey jumping from branch to branch." And that's exactly how the Buddha once described the human mind, the monkey mind. Restless, always moving, hard to tame. That's where the practice of counting the breath becomes a gentle anchor. Here's how it works. You simply breathe naturally. And as you inhale, you silently say, 1. As you exhale, 2. Inhale, 3. Exhale, 4. You continue all the way to 10. And when you reach 10, you return back to 1. Now it may sound almost childlike, but the effect is profound, because the moment you give your mind a simple task, just counting it has less space to wander into worry, regret, or planning. The counting becomes a soft guide, like holding the hand of a child who wants to run in every direction. When Clara tried this, she was skeptical. She said, "There's no way this will work for me." But within a few minutes, her face softened. Her shoulders, which had been tense, began to relax. And after about 10 minutes, she whispered, "This is the first time in years I've felt silence inside my head." That's the beauty of counting the breath. It doesn't erase all problems, but it gives the mind a place to rest. Instead of being pulled into a storm of thoughts, you find yourself anchored, steady, calm. The Buddha once said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." If your mind is scattered, your life feels scattered. But when the mind is calm, suddenly life doesn't feel so overwhelming. I want you to imagine something right now. Think of your stress like a glass of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, it never clears. The dirt keeps swirling around. But if you set it down, if you let it rest, the mud slowly sinks and the water becomes clear. Counting the breath is like setting the glass down. It gives your inner world a chance to settle, to clear, to breathe again. And the best part? You don't need any special space or equipment to do this. You can practice it while sitting at your desk at work, in the car before going inside the house, even lying in bed before you sleep. Just close your eyes, feel the breath, and count. Let me ask you, when was the last time you gave yourself permission to pause, to simply be with your breath, without chasing after the next thought? Most of us live on autopilot, moving from one task to the next. But if you can take even 5 minutes a day to practice counting your breath, you'll notice something remarkable. The tension in your body begins to melt. Your thoughts feel lighter, and you realize you're not trapped by your stress. You actually have the power to guide your mind. Clara came back weeks later and told me something that touched my heart. She said, "I still have problems. My life hasn't magically changed. But now, when my thoughts start to overwhelm me, I close my eyes and count my breath. And just like that, I feel like I've come home again. That's what this practice does. It brings you home, to yourself, to the present, to the peace that's always been within you. So, if you've ever felt like your mind is running too fast, if you've ever longed for a moment of quiet in the middle of chaos, I invite you to try this ancient technique. Close your eyes. Inhale 1. Exhale 2. Keep going. And when you reach 10, gently return to 1. At first, your mind will wander. That's okay. That's natural. When you notice, simply return to the count. No judgment, no pressure, just return. And slowly, you'll notice something. The noise fades. The storm eases. And you, my friend, find yourself breathing freely, peacefully, in the here and now. Because in the end, it's not about controlling life. It's about learning to let go, breath by breath. Part 3. Deep abdominal breathing. I want to share with you a practice that has changed not just the way I breathe, but the way I live. It's called deep abdominal breathing. Simple words, right? But behind this practice lies a doorway to calm, to clarity, and to a lighter heart. Let me tell you about Sarah. She's a woman in her mid-42nd, a mother of 2, working a demanding job while also caring for her aging parents. Her days often feel like a storm. She wakes up already tired, her mind racing with responsibilities. By afternoon, her chest feels tight, her shoulders stiff, and her heart beats faster than it should. Sound familiar? Maybe you've felt that same pressure, like the weight of life sits on your chest. One evening, Sarah told me, "I feel like I can't catch my breath anymore. Even when I'm not running, I feel breathless." And that's when I introduced her to something the Buddha himself taught again and again, the power of mindful breathing. Deep abdominal breathing is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of shallow breaths that only reach the top of your chest, you gently guide your breath deep into your belly. Imagine placing one hand on your abdomen. As you inhale, feel your belly rise like a soft wave. As you exhale, feel it slowly fall, as though the tide is retreating. Inhale slowly, letting the air fill you. Then exhale gently, releasing it all. It may seem too simple, almost childlike, but science today confirms what monks discovered centuries ago. When you breathe deeply with your abdomen, your body shifts into a state of relaxation. Your heart rate slows, your blood pressure lowers. The muscles that clench without you realizing begin to loosen. Stress has less power over you. Sarah practiced this for just a few minutes each day. She would sit quietly in her car before picking up her kids, close her eyes, and take 10 slow abdominal breaths. At first, her mind resisted. It screamed about unfinished work, about groceries, about bills. But as her breath deepened, something softened. She said it felt like someone was gently turning down the volume on the chaos in her mind. The Buddha once said, "When the mind is agitated, it is hard to see the truth. But when the mind is calm, the truth appears like the reflection of the moon in still water." That's exactly what abdominal breathing does. It brings stillness, not by fighting your thoughts, not by forcing calm, but by simply giving the mind an anchor your own breath, rising and falling. Think about it. How many times a day do you actually notice your breath? For most of us, the answer is almost never. We live on autopilot, trapped in shallow breathing, trapped in stress. And yet the breath is always there, waiting to guide us back home. Let me ask you, when was the last time you felt truly at ease, even for just a moment? Not because all your problems disappeared, but because your heart felt steady. That's the gift of this practice. It doesn't erase the storms of life, but it helps you stand like a mountain, steady and grounded, while the winds blow around you. Sarah told me something beautiful after a few weeks. She said, "I still have the same responsibilities. My job hasn't changed. My family still needs me. But now, when stress comes, I know I have this little island of calm inside me. Just a few breaths, and I'm not drowning anymore. And isn't that what we all long for? To know that peace isn't somewhere far away. It isn't waiting at the end of our to-do list. It's here, inside us, in every breath, if only we pause to feel it. Deep abdominal breathing is one of the reasons Buddhist monks can sit calmly, even when surrounded by uncertainty or hardship. They don't escape life's difficulties. They breathe with them, through them, and beyond them. Each deep breath becomes an act of letting go of fear, letting go of pressure, letting go of the belief that we must carry the world on our shoulders every second. You don't need incense. You don't need a meditation cushion. You don't even need silence. You just need a few moments and the courage to stop running for a while. So the next time you feel your chest tighten, pause. Place a hand gently on your belly. Inhale deeply, feeling it rise. Exhale slowly, feeling it fall. Do this 10 times. And notice not just the calm that comes, but the realization that you are more spacious, more resilient, more free than your worries want you to believe. Sarah discovered this. The monks have lived by this. And you can begin right now. With every breath, you are already letting go. Part 4. Breathing with compassion. There's a woman I once met during a retreat in the mountains. Let's call her Anna. Anna was a school teacher, a mother of 2, and someone who always carried the weight of others on her shoulders. She told me, "I'm so exhausted. I take care of everyone else, but I feel like no one is really taking care of me." Does that sound familiar to you? Maybe you've been there too, giving and giving, but at the end of the day, feeling empty, tired, even invisible. This is where one of the most beautiful breathing techniques from the Buddhist tradition can help. It's called breathing with compassion, and it's not just about calming your body, it's about healing your heart. Here's how it works. When you breathe in, you don't just take in oxygen. You imagine you're breathing in peace, nourishment, and kindness for yourself. Think of it as saying silently, breathing in, I give myself permission to rest. Breathing in, I allow peace to fill me. And then, when you breathe out, you let that peace flow outward. You breathe out compassion. You silently send love, understanding, and well wishes to others. Breathing out, may you be safe. Breathing out, may you be free from suffering. It's so simple, but so profound, because in that moment, your breath becomes a bridge connecting you with yourself and with the world. I remember teaching Anna this practice. At first, she struggled. She said, "Why should I send kindness to others when I barely have enough for myself?" And that's a very real conflict many of us face. When we're stressed or lonely, compassion can feel impossible. But here's the truth. When you breathe in peace for yourself, you're not being selfish. You're refilling your cup. You're remembering that you too deserve love. And only from that fullness can compassion naturally flow outward. The Buddha once said, "Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal law." This breathing technique is a way of living, that teaching, breath by breath. Anna practiced with me. Slowly, her shoulders softened. Her breath grew steadier. She whispered, "Breathing in, I feel calm. Breathing out, I wish peace for my children." For the first time in a long while, she felt both cared for and connected. Think about your own life. How often do we get caught in stress, in loneliness, in that quiet ache of disconnection? And yet, right here, in something as ordinary as a single breath, there's medicine. Breathing with compassion has a double effect. It soothes your nervous system, lowering stress hormones, slowing your heartbeat, and bringing calm into your body. but it also expands your heart. It dissolves the walls of isolation. Suddenly, you don't feel so alone anymore. Because when you breathe out love, even silently, you're no longer just surviving. You're participating in healing your own and the world's posit. I often guide people through a simple rhythm. Inhale gently. Breathing in, I embrace myself with peace. Exhale slowly. Breathing out, may all beings be free. You don't need incense or a meditation cushion or even a quiet temple. You can do this in your car, before picking up your kids, at your desk after a tense meeting, or lying in bed when your mind won't stop spinning. Each breath becomes an anchor, a reset, a reminder that you are both cared for and capable of caring. And here's the secret. When you practice this regularly, your stress doesn't just shrink. Your capacity to love grows. You begin to see people differently. That rude stranger at the grocery store, the coworker who snaps at you, even your own restless thoughts. With each breath of compassion, they start to look less like enemies and more like fellow travelers, struggling just like you. Isn't that what we all crave? Not just to manage stress, but to transform it into connection, into something meaningful? Anna wrote to me months after that retreat. She said, "I still get stressed. Life is still messy. But now, I breathe differently. And every time I breathe out compassion, I feel less alone." That's the gift of this practice. It's not about escaping life. It's about meeting life stress, chaos, heartbreak with a bigger heart. So I want to invite you right now. Take one deep, slow breath. Inhale and say silently, "I give myself peace." Exhale and send out, "May others be free." Feel what happens inside you. That gentle softening, that sense of space, that quiet warmth. This is not theory. This is living wisdom. It's the Buddha's compassion, alive in your lungs, here and now. And maybe, just maybe, this breath is the beginning of a different way of living. One where stress no longer controls you, because you've discovered the power to let go with love. Part 5. Letting go with each exhale. You know, one of the most beautiful teachings in Buddhism is hidden in something so simple that we often overlook it: our breath. Breathing in and breathing out. It's something we've been doing since the moment we were born, yet we rarely notice its wisdom. Today, I want to share with you a practice that has changed the way I relate to stress, to pain, and even to the heavy memories I once thought I could never let go of. It's called letting go with each exhale. Think of Sarah, a woman I once met during a mindfulness retreat. She was in her mid-50s, a mother, a grandmother, and someone who carried the weight of a lifetime on her shoulders. She told me that no matter how hard she tried to relax, the tension in her chest felt like a stone pressing down on her. Sleepless nights, a racing mind, the feeling that she had to hold everything together for everyone. Maybe you know that feeling too. That quiet exhaustion that builds up over the years. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just whispers, "You can't let go. Not yet." But here's the truth. Buddhism teaches us that every exhale is an invitation to release. Every time you breathe out, life is giving you permission to put something down. The Buddha once said, "Just as a snake sheds its old skin, so too must we shed what no longer serves us." Isn't that powerful? And what better moment to do this shedding than in the rhythm of our own breath? Let's imagine it together. Close your eyes for a moment if you can. Take a slow, deep breath in. And now as you exhale, picture this: your worries flowing out of your body like dark smoke dissolving into the open air. Stress leaving your shoulders. Fear leaving your chest. Regret leaving your heart. Each out-breath is like placing one heavy stone on the ground. You don't have to carry them all anymore. I often like to use the image of autumn leaves. You know how leaves turn golden, then gently fall away from the tree, carried off by the wind? The tree doesn't resist. It doesn't cling to what has already reached its time. In the same way, with every exhale, you too can release the leaves of your life, the overthinking, the grudges, the small and large burdens you've been clutching for years. Just let them drift away. Now, some of you might be thinking, but my pain, my stress, my memories, they're not as light as a leaf. They're heavy. And yes, I understand. I've been there. That's why this practice is so healing. It doesn't ask you to erase your past. It doesn't demand that you fix everything overnight. It simply gives you a safe ritual, one breath at a time, to loosen your grip. And when you loosen your grip, something beautiful happens. The body relaxes, the mind softens, and the heart opens. Sarah, the woman I mentioned earlier, started practicing this. She would sit on her porch every evening, close her eyes, and with each breath out, she imagined one piece of her stress leaving. The argument she had with her daughter? She released it with one exhale. The guilt of not being enough for everyone? Another exhale. The endless to-do lists? She let them fall like leaves, breath after breath. And you know what she told me months later? Her chest didn't feel like a stone anymore. She slept through the night for the first time in years. She said, "I finally realized I don't have to carry everything with me. My breath helps me let go." Isn't that what we all long for? A simple way to feel lighter again. The symbolism in Buddhism is clear. Every breath out is a small death, a letting go, a surrender. And yet, every breath in is a new beginning, a gentle rebirth. This cycle repeats thousands of times a day, quietly teaching us about impermanence and renewal. The next time stress tightens your chest or your mind won't stop racing, I invite you to pause. Just pause. Place one hand over your heart if you'd like, breathe deeply, and as you exhale, whisper to yourself, "I let this go." You don't need to fight the storm inside you. You only need to exhale it, again and again, until your body remembers what it feels like to be free. Now, here's a thought. What if we lived each day with this awareness? What if we used every exhale, not just as a physical act, but as a sacred practice of release? How different would your evenings feel? How much lighter would your mornings be? This is not just breathing. It's returning to the simplicity of being human, returning to a heart that doesn't have to hold the weight of yesterday, returning to the wisdom that life is always moving, always inviting us to let go. So the next time you see a leaf fall, let it remind you, each exhale is your chance to drop something you no longer need, a worry, a fear, a story you've told yourself for too long. You don't have to carry it into tomorrow. You can let it fall, right here, right now, with this breath. Conclusion: for Buddhist breathing techniques to let go of stress. You know, as we come to the end of this journey together, I want to remind you of something simple yet deeply powerful. These Buddhist breathing techniques we've been exploring are not just quick tools to lower stress. They are much more than that. They are an art of living, an invitation to step into mindfulness, to release the weight we silently carry, and to discover a gentler way of being with ourselves and the world around us. When we pay attention to our breath, we're not only calming the nervous system, we are learning to let go. Every inhale reminds us that life is arriving, fresh and full of possibility. And every exhale whispers that it is safe to release, to soften, to surrender what we no longer need to hold. In this simple rhythm, stress dissolves, tension loosens, and we realize we were never meant to cling so tightly in the first place. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you felt trapped in your thoughts, stuck in a loop of worry, or overwhelmed by something you couldn't control? Now imagine if, in those moments, you had remembered to come back to your breath, to pause, to breathe in deeply, welcoming clarity, to breathe out fully, letting go of the noise. Can you sense how different that moment might have felt? Breathing this way isn't about escaping life. It's about returning to it, fully awake. It's about meeting stress, not with resistance, but with presence. Buddhist monks often say, each breath is a chance to begin again. And isn't that what we all long for? The freedom to begin again, no matter what has happened, no matter what mistakes we've made, no matter how heavy the past feels. Every breath carries that possibility. A chance to choose peace over chaos. A chance to release what doesn't serve us. A chance to simply be, here and now. And the beauty is, you don't need a special place or time to practice this. You don't need incense or bells or silence. Your breath is with you when you're waiting in traffic, when you're sitting at your desk, when you're walking under the sky. Every single moment is an opportunity to breathe with awareness, to let stress go, and to return to yourself. And maybe you're wondering, does something so simple really change anything? The answer is yes. Science has shown it, monks have lived it, and you can feel it too. With each intentional breath, your body finds balance, your mind finds rest, and your heart finds space to open. Over time, these small moments of breathing become threads that weave a more peaceful life. So, let me leave you with this thought. Every breath is a chance to renew yourself. Are you ready to begin right now? Maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is not yet. Either way, the breath will be here for you when you're ready. And if this video has touched you in some way, I'd love to hear how you feel. Take a moment to share your own breathing experience in the comments. Sometimes your story is exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you know someone carrying stress on their shoulders, gently send this video their way. You never know how much a single breath of awareness could change their day. If you'd like to keep walking this path together, exploring more wisdom and practices for mindful living, you're always welcome here. You can follow this channel, so the next time you need a reminder to pause, to breathe, to let go, you'll find it waiting for you. So, until we meet again, may your breaths be calm, may your heart be light, and may your life unfold with ease.